everything you do should make you a more whole person. Integrity
Mm-hmm.
comes from the same Latin root as integer, which is a whole number, right? So integrity is being whole. So the more that you can decrease internal conflict and get rid of we had that parts exercise we did, which is so great. Anybody,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to illustrate it, I think, well. If there's a part of you that really wants chocolate and a part of you that really doesn't, you've got separate parts. There's internal conflict. If we can get those two parts to come together and be happy with each other and make a decision together, we just increased wholeness.
Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Leslie M. Thornton. Yes, Rusty Osborne is in the house today. Woo, woo. We so lucky. Rusty has been on the podcast before, but today we're going to be talking about neurolinguistic programming and the difference that it made in Rusty's life. And I'm giving my last neurolinguistic programming training coming up this fall and wanted to, give people a little taste of what the whole thing is. And what I will say, Rusty, I know I've said this to you before, but it's just like, I've never met anyone who I feel like has been destined for neurolinguistic programming like quite as much as you were. Like from the day one, you just took it all on. We're doing the tools and acting like it was like you created it. So pretty remarkable. And I know it's also, made results in your life along with everything else that you've done to invest in yourself. So just appreciate your coming on just to share about your experience.
Absolutely. Glad to be here and definitely happy to share.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind maybe introducing yourself for anyone who hasn't heard your other episode, that would be great. What you do and where you're at and your lifestyle, which I know is fun.
Yeah, definitely. So a little background on me. I used to be an obese, drunk, absolute idiot musician. I was pretty good at music, but pretty bad at everything else. And so in that process, I eventually got tired of being so fat and drunk and making bad decisions. So decided to change, went down the long road, mostly alone, but with some help to get me on the right path. And I eventually lost 85 pounds, got it to melt off. I've kept it off. I've put on a good amount of muscle, about 30 pounds of muscle now. And I mean, I look great. Things are really cool. I feel awesome. And because it took me so long to figure it out, I then started coaching others on how to do it because I want to give people shortcuts. I went through a lot of hell to get to where I am that wasn't necessary if someone had just walked me through the process. And so I had started my coaching business. That's when I met you, Leslie, and we were working together, talking more about how to coach better, how to build businesses better, and all of that. And you were super instrumental. So thank you, first of all, on that path. And through that process, I found that one of the biggest things that helps people change is it's essentially sales, right? Asking the right questions, getting people to really reflect sincerely on why they've been in the place that they're in for so long. And is it really time to change? What is it going to take? What are we going to do? What's the best steps we can take to help you change? Because I know there's listeners out there that have been in the spot of, well, I want to lose weight. I want to be thinner. I don't want to look at this body that I see in the mirror every day. But for some reason, I'm not doing the work, right? I'm not actually changing my foods or the way that I eat or shifting my relationship with food. And it's still a problem. And the questions that we learn to ask in coaching and in sales can really help. They're just mindset questions that break these beliefs and really help us change. And once I understood that, I started to get way more into sales, specifically reading the books, listening to the podcast, getting the coaches. And so what I've done now is I actually do sales and coaching for another guy, Craig Ballantyne. Awesome coach. We do a lot of discipline and helping people scale their businesses too. But that's where my current focus is. So I still have my podcast called Losing Weight, still helping people lose weight through that and our other free resources there. But my main focus now is how can I help Craig grow this business so we can touch so many more people, improve discipline, which is helping people lose weight. It's helping people improve their marriages and their relationships, helping people get to bed on time and stop hitting snooze, because that's actually a bigger deal than I thought it was in the world. And therefore, when people are doing those things, they're more effective, they're more energetic, they're building their businesses bigger and better, which then impacts so many more people in the world. So I've had it's a great leverage point selfishly for me to have a bigger impact on the world as well. So I'm having so many great conversations with people and helping them really decide to change. And to wrap this all back into what we're talking about today, NLP is so foundational for having these conversations. It's unbelievable. It's like this app that's always running in the background on your computer, on your phone, that just makes everything more effective. Every bit of communication, every question that you ask, and the way that they receive it too. So the results as far as revenue is concerned, definitely up, and results as far as what our clients are getting, way up as well. And so just so powerful, and so happy that I was able to join you on that when we did that training back in April.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Can people see what I mean? This energy is freaking infectious by this guy. It's like we can listen to Rusty talk all freaking day, and it's fantastic. And I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, excited to dive in more. And yeah, isn't that interesting? Because, I never thought that I would ever like sales or get into sales, or it's like, why does that even matter? And all this kind of stuff. But when you are a coach, or you get over something as big as we have gotten over, right? You're losing 85 pounds, feeling awful, and getting to a place where you're now as powerful and as energetic day to day and feeling great and contributing to the world in a way that makes you feel, whatever it makes you feel positively, it's huge. Right. And there is nothing more painful, I'm sure you could agree, than knowing how to help someone, right? Or knowing, how valuable you're working with someone, right? Or having that kind of step-by-step blueprint made such a difference in your life, and not being able to effectively communicate or translate, right, the value of coaching, right? Or what this work actually does for people, and having people walk away and they don't make that decision to move forward, right? And it's like, it can feel like, people who have an aversion against sales of being like, oh, you're just trying to make money and but it's like, no, I'm trying to help someone. So, genuinely, like, yes, I do need to make money and whatever, but like, I freaking care about this person who's suffering the same way that I was, so for me as leaders, it's like, if there is a way that we can get better at communicating, right, and being with people and understanding the different ways in which people make decisions and the way they work, that can increase their chances of actually crossing that line over into a coaching program that's going to, like you said, increase their happiness, freedom, inner peace, energy, etc., make their friends and family and relationships better. Like, then we got to do that thing.
Right. And I was just looking at my notes from our training. It just reminded me, there's one of the core beliefs of NLP is the meaning of communication is the response that you get. And so when you're having a sales conversation, a coaching conversation, really any conversation in the world, if you're not getting the response that you were hoping for, that means you're not communicating well. And if that person doesn't see clearly and understand that we can help, right, and they have every opportunity to enroll with us and get the help that we're here to offer, if they don't see that, that's my failure. And I need to be the absolute best that I can. Right. And that even applies to this. If anybody out there thinks that sales is some sort of manipulation, it's just for money, that means we haven't communicated effectively to you yet, that this is just, this is the process of getting results. If you want a change, you need to sell yourself on that change. And we're here to help you do that.
So amazing. Yes.
It's powerful.
Yeah, and I love that you're looking at the notes. Is there anything else from your training or your notes that you're looking at that, I don't know, you feel inspired to share?
Oh, there's so much good stuff. I still reflect on these all the time.
Yeah,
And
what were
I
some of your favorite things that you got or that you remember on a regular basis?
Yeah. So, and actually, when you emailed me saying like, "Hey, let's have another podcast," I was like, "What were the best things?" Like, first of all, we did an exercise called mapping across, where there's if you think of a food that you like but you don't want to like, we can help your brain wire in the dislike for that food. I don't want to like beer. It's something that's in my family that we've drank my whole life. It's just what we do. It's how we bond, and I don't want that to be a thing because I don't feel good afterwards. And
Mhm.
so we did that exercise, and I haven't liked beer since. Every time I think about it, I still don't want it. I haven't been in too many situations where it's tempting, but at the same time, if it was tempting, I didn't even realize it. It's just not entering my brain as something that's okay for me.
Mm.
So that's still super powerful. And so, yeah, if anybody's out there struggling with chocolate or sweets or alcohol or whatever, like a concrete exercise that really helps. And I helped my own health coaching clients with that, and they loved it. So they love that exercise. Um, the I think my favorite part was learning it's called the presuppositions of NLP, right? Which are just core beliefs. It's literally a list of definitions of what we believe in NLP. And that has been revolutionary for me. So,
Yeah, say more. What are they? Maybe
yeah,
let's
I've got
say
a
them.
list of them here. And so
Because that's one of my favorite parts too. It's like, oh my God, this is the way that I live my life.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
Hmm.
well, let's run through them. So number one
Sure.
is respect for the other person's model of the world. So when I'm communicating with someone, so everybody knows I love meat. I eat a lot of it. It feels great. It's just the way I am. But if I'm speaking to someone who's very vehemently vegan, and that's the way they are, like I don't need to tell them how great meat is, and I'm going to respect their model of the world. I don't have to agree with it, but I'm going to respect it. So
Oh,
that
I
makes me
love
feel
that
good.
example. Thank you for saying that.
It's so easy in the diet world, right? To get in these dogmas of carnivore is best, vegan is best, fasting is best, or whatever. Like, guys, what's best is best. It's what you need. And that's one of the other things that we believe is that the subconscious has the perfect blueprint of your health. Your subconscious has that map ready and waiting for you if you can access it. And since then, actually, a concrete shift for me has been that I've been able to intuitively eat my way to getting abs. I got them. They're great. Like they're not like
Intuitively eat your way to what?
to getting abs. Like I see
Oh,
my
to
abs
getting
now.
abs?
Yeah.
Oh, you have some now?
Yeah. And
Cool.
like they were kind of ish there before, and they kind of come and go depending on what's going on. But I always see at least the top couple of them, and I don't count calories. I'm not on a diet. I just eat what I want to eat because my body knows what it should have. And
Heck
so
yeah.
that's been awesome. And like I can just communicate with my subconscious and be like, what do you think? Should we drop another couple percentage of body fat? Do you think that's a good idea right now? Sometimes it says yes, sometimes it says no. And I just roll with it. I've got other goals that are more important than body fat percentage. And so if it fits
Mhm.
in the lifestyle, I get to use it. So yeah, it's been
That's
super
really
cool.
awesome. Just to think. So on a regular basis, you do have a dialogue with your body where you do ask
Mhm.
it questions and see if it agrees. Am I getting that
Constantly.
right?
Yes.
Wow.
All the time. So,
That's
like immediately,
powerful.
a concrete example 2 days ago, it was in the morning. Suddenly, I had a dip in energy. I was just feeling kind of off. And so I just said, hey, body, let's have a quick conversation. Can you point me in the direction of what caused this? And I thought through and waited for, I mean, there's just a sense that I get because I'm really kinesthetic of yes or no. And I've tested other body testing ways. Um, and I was just thinking through, was it this that I ate? No. Was it this that I didn't eat today? No. Was it this a little too much coffee in the morning? Yes. Like, oh, okay. I just had a little more coffee than normal and I actually crashed sooner. Thanks
Mm.
for the information. So now I have a little bit less. Like I just know that that's part of the deal. Or I drink it slower or whatever that's going to be, but I got that information through that dialogue that I'm able to have now.
Mm.
So
Powerful. Thanks for sharing that. Cool. This is fun. Let's keep going.
oh, it's so much fun. Another belief here: behavior and change are to be evaluated in the context they occur and the ecology of the change. So what this means for the average person listening is if you want to lose weight, because that's probably why you're listening, And there's a birthday party coming up. It's your nephew's 7th birthday. There's going to be all the cake, all the sweets. It's going to be so much fun. You probably shouldn't start your diet the day before, because in the ecology of this situation, you're putting yourself in a hell of a position, right? And as a coach, that would be bad for me to put you in that position where you're going to be super tempted. You'll probably fail. You'll end up having cake and then feel guilty about it, and then say, I can't do this diet thing. Like, it's terrible for me. And so the ecology of the situation really matters. What is going on around you? What's in the environment? If you see a massive hurdle like that coming up, start on Tuesday. Like,
yes.
Just start on Tuesday. Like, don't put yourself purposely in torture just because you should man up and be able to just willpower your way through it. Stop it. Willpower is not necessary. You don't need to use it. Like, there's so many better ways, like knowing your ecology.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because so many of my clients, and I'm sure yours as well, when you were doing the weight loss stuff, they come in and they're dealing with a lot. You know, like they're grieving someone that just passed away in their life, or maybe a long time ago and it still hasn't moved all the way through yet. Right. Or they hate their job, or their job is super stressful, or maybe they're having relationship issues or whatever. And it's just like, and they're trying to focus on, how can I make sure that I'm perfect with my diet? And it's like, whoa, like ecology of the situation. Like, you may need to rely a little bit on food right now to like get you through this time. Right. So it's like, let's respect what is, right? Obviously, we're going to make sure that we give you the tools not to be binging or, you know, going through the drive-through every second of your day or anything like that. Like, we'll support you with the food, but it's the emotional mastery piece let's focus on. You know, because that's actually what's been in the way probably your entire life from being able to successfully eat in a normal, healthy manner.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And if especially you're going through a really tough time, right? And there's just a lot of stress at work or things in the family, these things happening, you have relied on food as comfort forever. Now is probably not the time to break another major relationship in your life, or to make that big shift immediately, right? There is a time coming for that, and you're aware of it. That's why you're trying to fix it. And I still intentionally over comfort eat sometimes. Like, if I'm having a lot of stress and I know that's coming, like, I know I feel way chill after a big bowl of like rice and veggies and too much meat, some chocolate, a little ice cream, which, by the way, I have that meal like 7 days a week. But the quantity of it changes, and that's how I'm able to kind of monitor how I'm able to intentionally shift the amount of comfort I'm feeling.
Super powerful. Yep. I do the same thing. Yes, I use it. I do the same thing. You know, it's like one of the biggest myths that like you're not supposed, it's like food is an emotional tool. Like, it is something that can be very helpful. And the sooner we're able to just like acknowledge and accept that, right? Of like, yeah, like this helps me, you know, then it ends up being something that's a little bit more sane, usually, like you're talking about, right? Like, it's still what you're talking about is like, it's a fantastic meal and not terrible, right? But if we try to deny it, then it's going to end up being, you know, all sorts of trips to the grocery store, eating way more than that, perhaps, in my experience anyway.
Big time. Yeah. When I don't have a good system of like a periodic overfeeding, I tend to then try even harder to like, I want to fast more. I want to eat even less or even cleaner. And if I don't have that period of like, bro, go off track. This is fun. This is life. I'm going to go have tacos and a margarita and then ice cream. Let's go. Suddenly, the next 3 weeks, I am more on point than ever, effortlessly.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's all about like telling yourself the brutal truth of what you actually want. And like saying yes when your body is saying, you know, what's going to do this is tacos and a margarita right now. It's like, that's an actual thing. Like, there's certain days where it's like takeout is the answer. And it's like, and then you have it and totally enjoy it and appreciate the feelings it brings. And then, like you're saying, the next day, it's like, I want a salad today, just automatically. Right. And I love that it like sounds like a fun game that you get to have every day of just like, hey, cool, you know? Oh my God, so fun. You guys got to hang out with Rusty. They get to now, but fun times. Cool. Great. What's next on the list?
Yeah. So resistance in a client is a sign of lack of rapport. This is really fun. And for people, if you want to apply it to yourself or in other conversations, if you or someone is resisting a change, there is a lack of like safety. You don't feel safe in that situation. You don't feel heard. You don't feel understood. And it could literally be a conversation with yourself in your journal where you're trying to deny that, like, yeah, I'm still fat after this many years. Like, we have to accept it sometimes and be willing to feel it truly in the safety of your own journal. Like, that's okay. If you're having a conversation with someone else and they're not hearing you correctly, they probably, there's just a disconnect. There's just a disconnect. And that's okay, because that's just a piece of feedback. Hey, I feel like you're not hearing me, or something's off. Is there something in my teeth? Does my breath smell? Like, what's throwing us off here? And that little bit of humor is normally the answer is no, there's nothing there. That little bit of humor will get them to be like, oh, sorry, tough day at work. I will focus, I promise. And then they come right back in. Right. And so really powerful to have those conversations in an open, trusting way with yourself and with others.
I love that. I love that you brought up about, with yourself as well. Some of the work that I was doing on myself last night was how we're always trying to get over something so that we can get something else. When in reality, it's just like, what if all the goal is to be and accept exactly what it is right now. Right. It's just like we spend our entire lives like, I'm going to do all of this so that I can lose weight. I'm going to do all of this so that I can whatever, sign up a new client or whatever is the goal. And it's just like, we're missing the bit of just being like, okay, I feel anger in my body right now. I feel a craving for alcohol in my body right now. Right. Like, and what if there is no actual goal to get anywhere else? It's like, that's just it. And so
like when we do accept that as like presence, awareness right now is amazing and fantastic. First of all, you feel really good, because it's hard to be anxious or depressed when you're just in this moment right now. Plus, these emotions, these things that come up are just feedback anyways, which is one of the other things we're going to touch on. They're trying to tell you something, probably.
Correct.
So if you can feel into it and just be like, wow, I just want whiskey. Like, whiskey was my drink for a long time. I wanted it all of the time. It was a problem. And so I could feel in and be like, okay, I want whiskey really bad. So before I go drink it, let me just see why. Like, let me sit with this. What am I feeling in my body? Oh, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I feel this like stirring in my belly that I used to feel when I was mad at this other person. Oh, that's interesting. Am I mad at somebody right now? Holy cow, I didn't even think about that. I'm mad at my singer from my band for saying what he did, and now I want whiskey? Okay, well, let's fix this problem first. Wow, I don't really want whiskey anymore because I'm mad. I kind of want it because I'm happy now, but I don't want it because I'm mad. Like, I could determine where this was coming from. And it comes from that acceptance of the right now.
Exactly. I tell my clients this all the time, their brains will constantly get hooked into, right? Like the weight loss and the whatever. It's like, I got it. Right. And it's like, and let's slow it down. Where did this start? Right. We can support you with that, but where did this start? It's like, I saw a photograph of myself last week. I hated the way that I looked. I looked X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, like that's sad. Like that's right. That's creates hard and painful emotions in your body. Let's feel those for a second. And then every time by accepting the now and like, okay, I accept anger in my body right now. I accept sadness in my body right now. It's like, okay, what do you think about losing weight now? And I'm like, oh, I don't really care about that. It's like, yeah, exactly. So it's like, let's just focus on the present moment, because any action you take towards just let me start a new diet plan and say I'm never going to eat or drink XYZ again, it's like, it's not going to last. And then you're going to be in the same spiral, being hard on yourself and mad at yourself for doing XYZ. And the vicious cycle continues. It's like, we got to just focus on the emotional being here now. Like you're saying, getting back in rapport with yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Which is difficult sometimes if we don't truly trust ourselves, which if you're listening, you probably don't is enough. And I'm learning this over and over because we peel back the onion layers, right? Like, I just peeled another layer I'll actually share with you guys that it's been like difficult and hard for me recently. And let me kind of put some context behind this as well with these presuppositions we're touching on. So there's a couple points here that really wrap together well. So people are not their behaviors. Everyone's doing the best they can with the resources they have available. And we all have the ability to succeed. We just need the chance, the resources. We need to be kind of shown that sometimes. And with all those, we know if we're being effective in the changes we're trying to make by calibrating on behavior. Did the behavior itself change? Right? And so these different pieces are context for what I want to tell you right now, which is I know that I'm not a bad person for overeating more than I should for years. Like, I'm not my behaviors. That's not just me. And I've always done the best I wanted to. Sometimes it meant that I was like 270 or 240 pounds versus 150 pounds, right? And so I've been doing the best I can. And then suddenly sometimes it worked because my behavior changed based on the healing I was doing. Now, the thing that's happening now for me is we talked about acceptance. I realized, because I'm always so overly optimistic, I've always also thought two things simultaneously. First off, everybody loves me and I'm the best. Also, I don't think anybody really likes me, and I'm pretty sure everybody hates me and thinks I'm really annoying, and I don't think they really want to hang out with me. They're just being nice. They don't really, and so there is this thing going on always of me putting up too much of a front to cover that up, overeating because of it, and sometimes getting validated on both sides. And what ended up helping me, I was listening to a book called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. Beautiful book. This in the process we're talking about today helped me realize that, well, I'm not perfect, which logically I knew. But then suddenly I got flooded with memories of times that I hurt people over my years. When I said the wrong thing, right? Like in high school, when I like hit the kid over the head with a book, I was kind of playing, but I was definitely a little bit of bullying. But I didn't see it that way in high school, right? And I didn't have that different perspective. And so then seeing objectively that I hurt so many people in my life, and we all have, which was another piece of accepting this. Like, I'm not alone. We're all assholes on some level.
Yep.
Like we've all done this to people. Forced me to open up and accept. And I actually started going through lists. Okay, who did I hurt the most? Who did I hurt second most? Who did I hurt after that? What are these things and where did it come from? Why is this the case? And once I went through just accepting that I did the damn thing and working on forgiving myself a little bit, which is difficult, suddenly the next day, this was just last week too, over this last 7 days, I haven't been eating nearly as much for comfort.
Wow.
And it's I'm sensitive to it because I've done this for a while, but I'm noticing a significant shift there. I'm more relaxed overall. I'm acting different. I'm more open. I'm more peaceful. I'm less stressed about what this person said on that appointment that I was just on.
Yeah.
And it came from accepting, what do I feel now? Even if it was these memories in the past. And when I had those memories before, I would want to like just anger eat. And now I'm I'm going to be okay.
Like that self-hatred. It's almost like self-hatred eat, of like, just complete denial of self. I really appreciate you sharing that. I've had a similar breakthrough recently for myself, but I think what you're saying, what it really points to is the unfolding of the permanent weight loss journey, right? We always talk about like how it's a never ending journey, right? And when we're committed, because it's like we're constantly peeling back the layers of the onion, when we actually find a new piece, in that level of self-forgiveness, or maybe feeling the feelings or looking at the past or whatever we need to do, it changes the relationship with food. Very similar to you, Rusty. I just realized recently, a couple of weeks ago, that I've had this constant fear, like my whole life is in survival mode to make sure no one hates me.
I feel you so
right?
Much. Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Like everything 100%. Is so that people don't hate me and so that I'm not abandoned. Right. And it's like, I know everyone talks about abandonment, of like, and it's a very common thing. But for me, I realized like I wasn't actually allowing myself to feel it, to really feel the abandonment. And so during a meditation, they usually tell you don't attach to any thoughts, like let everything go. But I was like, actually, I think that I need to attach to this abandonment. Like I need to actually feel the depths of this. And I had this huge emotional release and was crying my eyes out. Like I was abandoned as a child. I was emotionally abandoned, right? Just let it rip. I let all the feelings go through. And literally the next 2 days that I woke up anxiety freaking free, like 0%, just like, all right. And just realizing when I look back at my life, I'm like, wow, everything that you've created. I remember it very vividly. I was in like 6th grade and I used to write notes back and forth to this girl, Christina. And one day I wrote a note to her and I honestly don't remember what I said, but something in the note got her very upset and never got a note back again and no conversation about it again. Friendship over. And it was just like, that was completely paralyzing to me. Right. And then just seeing that the times when I've been very emotionally triggered in my life has been when anyone has hated me, right, and abandoned me, and I didn't have any control, communication was cut off. And I got to see that like my whole life, like my business is built off this, right? We make like communication is everything. I always say to people, the only way you could fail in one of my programs is if you completely go out of communication.
Right.
I've said that.
Oh my God.
Right. And it's just like, wow, just building everything. And it's just like, when that does come up, guess what? Like I'm wanting to emotionally eat food, so then realizing like, okay, I want to give up that survival consciousness. Like, I don't want to live my life based off trying to make sure people don't hate me. It's like, the truth is, if someone's going to hate me, it's going to happen. And I make mistakes sometimes. Right. Right. Like, and I'm a good person and I mean well. And if someone ever told me I hurt them, I would say sorry. And like, I would totally not want to be doing that to anyone. Right. But we can't control what other people do.
There's one specific thing I want to underline here that I think is so tough, and it's a journey I've been on too, and it comes back to one of the first things you said. In meditation, they tell us that we shouldn't attach to the thing coming up. And you said, but I want to attach to this. I think I need to work this thing. You trusted yourself to do something that other people tell you not to do. And how often, let's just bring it back to diet culture. You hear, you should eat this, you shouldn't eat this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, right? This is better for that. No, it's not. You should be drinking only cold water to lose weight. You should be drinking only warm water to lose weight. Like, not whatever. Like, you just showed the example here of, if you can trust yourself and do what you feel is right, you're going to get there a hell of a lot faster.
Oh my God, so amazing.
A lot faster. Even if it goes against everything you and I are saying today. If someone else is listening and say, I don't trust these people at all, like, this is bullshit. Good. Thank you. Great.
Turn it off.
Yes.
Correct.
Trust yourself. And that's one of the other beliefs here is people have all the ability they need to succeed. You have it. I have it. Everyone listening has it. You have the ability. All we need to do is be able to tap into that. And learning to trust yourself is massive.
Absolutely. Creating that relationship with you. And like you're saying, your relationship with your body, asking your body what it needs, right? One of the number one things when people start our program is they're like, I feel like I need more structure. I need more rules. And it's like, yeah, I got it. And that's what we don't give you rules here. We don't tell you what you can and cannot do, because we want you to learn how to dialogue with yourself and learn how to make empowered food decisions yourself. Right. And then also learn the emotional mastery tools that if you make a mistake or you overeat or you have a hard day, that how to support yourself through that using neurolinguistic programming tools that we teach, or hypnosis, or whatever else to make a difference for people. But yeah, wow, that is always the goal.
Yeah. And this is speaking of trusting yourself and these tools that you use, I coach my clients differently. I love giving them some rules to follow because that's what worked for me and it helped them. Like, these are all different paths that will eventually get us where we're headed. And
100%
they work. It's really about, are you willing to trust yourself, trust the process, because it's worked for so many people, and put your energy through this process so you can get the results.
Yeah. I love that you said that. Yep. And I always say, like, even when you are following, because I've followed plenty of things, right, of doing exactly what somebody else says to do. Right. And there was a place for that, and it's like, there was a part of me that needed that at that time or wanted that at that time. Right. And then it gets to a point though, where it's just like, okay, maybe you want to not, and you want to learn how to trust yourself fully and completely and all the different things. So yes, there's no right or wrong. could do anything you want. The point is trust yourself and make a decision based on what you feel is right for you.
Which brings us to point number 11. There
Great.
is only feedback. So
Woo!
if you take the action, whichever the action is, then you look at it. Did I get the result I wanted or no? Either way is feedback. There's no failure on this. If you went forward and let's just like use Leslie's program versus my program as just like an easy example because it's top of mind. If you went with Leslie's program, or let's actually do it this way. If you went with my program and it didn't work, that's feedback, which by the way, it always works. But there's feedback that then if it just, maybe I smell, maybe you don't like the way that I work, right? That's just feedback for you to say, let's try a different path. Let's go to Leslie's program because I think I'm going to vibe with her better. Either way, you're moving forward. Thomas Edison found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb before he found the way to make the light bulb.
Ugh.
So all we got to do is just take the next step. Take the next step. Did it work? Did it not? Take the next step. Did it work? Did it not? Take the next step. It's just feedback. We don't have to beat ourselves up so much saying, I failed again. Another stupid diet out the window. I'm getting all the ice cream tonight. We don't need to do that to ourselves. It's just that worked. That didn't work. What will I do based on that feedback? That's all we got to do.
So brilliant. It's so brilliant. Whether it's like big decisions like that, I remember I've invested in many coaching programs, right? Where it's like, this is my goal, right? And it's like, I don't get that goal, but then it's like, okay, but now I have feedback of like what I was missing from that program was sales training, right? Which is how I found Xander's program, which for it, right? And it's just like, but that's still, and I see this so many times of people getting not paralyzed and not taking action. Like, just take some step forward. If this is even halfway close to what you're saying is what you need, it's just like, just do that. Right. And it's just like, versus doing nothing. So yes. And then, or smaller decisions of you eat a piece of cheesecake. Now your stomach hurts. It's like, that's feedback. Okay. That didn't work. So what now? Water.
Yeah. Right. There's
no failure.
An example that I think helps really illustrate this. And everybody can think back to when you're in middle school or high school, you have your first boyfriend or girlfriend. Well, I'm assuming for most of you that relationship didn't work out, like unless you're still together right now, in which case, congratulations, good job. You made the right choice right off the bat. But if you're like the rest of us, where you're not with that person anymore from 8th grade, well, you didn't let that stop you from getting into another relationship. And if you keep letting a past decision, like I went through this diet or this program, it didn't work, I'm not going to do anymore. Like you didn't finish up your 8th grade boyfriend's relationship and say, well, that's it. Men aren't for me. I'm out of here. Like you went for the next one, right? At some point. And any decision that you're facing where you've quote unquote failed in the past, well, don't let that stop you from making another good one, or else that bad relationship, that bad decision is going to hurt you twice. Right? We just got to keep trying. The only way that I see to fail is by not trying.
Yeah.
Just got to move.
I totally agree. Yeah. And trusting that everything that you got from that past program or diet or relationship was helpful. It was supporting your path to get where you are today. Right. So many people, when we get onto conversations about them enrolling in our program, it's just like, well, I've already spent so much money. Like, I just feel like none of it's worked. And like, I'm like, okay, well, let's look at that. Like, is it possible that you're not, the reason that you need to do this program is the same reason why you think that all the things have failed in the past? Like, because you engage with yourself as a failure, right? Because if you're not doing things perfectly, then like the whole thing, like your brain is focusing on what didn't work. But like, I guarantee you the things you learned along the way have been very helpful. And consider the fact that whatever you learned in the other diets, you needed to learn to be ready for this program today.
Yes.
Right. And it's just like, it's a whole mindset that needs to be changed. So
we have to believe, and I think I've heard it's the definition of faith is believing that everything happens for your highest good and learning. Absolutely everything.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
If we can believe that, then hell yeah, that failed. Or like, yes, I went so far off my diet last night. I feel terrible. Great job. Like, I'm learning something today. This is awesome. Like, every time that I've gone way far off the deep end, the next time is definitely not that far off the deep end. Like, I rein it way in because I take the feedback. It was for my highest good and learning. So well, that means I need to just reflect and like, great, what did I learn? What was the feedback here?
Yeah.
And universe, like, I am so ready to get to my next level. I know there's going to be something that I probably think is horrible in the moment, but you know what? Bring it on, because I know it's good for me. I know I'm ready. Like, I'm a kid that doesn't want to eat broccoli. Bring me a big plate of broccoli. Like, let's do this for the highest good and learning, because that's the only way we're going to grow and keep getting where we need to get in health, in business, in relationships, in our spiritual growth, all of this. It's just, we need to take the action, get the feedback from the universe. It's here for you, not against you, and just keep on going.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I think that also brings us back to the attunement of like asking yourself what you really need. Cause I remember before I found coaching, it would be like I would continue overeating and continue feeling awful the next day and continue making promises to myself that I wasn't going to do that again. Right. Like it was just like Groundhog's Day, and it was terrible. Right. So like I wasn't in a space where I had the growth mindset where I could even know how to forgive myself or be with my feet. Like none of that existed at the time. Right. So the attunement is just like, okay, like if the same thing is happening over and over again, then it's like, then we need to ask for help. Because obviously there's something that we're not seeing. So that feedback as well of like, if it is Groundhog's Day, right, then we need to look at it, you know, like what is happening here. So
one of the biggest, and so I mentioned earlier that I'm working with Craig Ballantyne, and what we do is literally discipline. So it's structure, discipline, system. So like the opposite of you right now, right? Which is so great, because I mean, on a personal level, I'm learning how to harmonize like the masculine with the feminine energy. How can I have structure and still flow? And yeah, I sound like a crazy hippie. I am guilty, fun. So, but the one of the best things that I've learned, and I'd heard this from other coaches before and out in other people's marketing, that you need accountability. Accountability is the one thing you need the most. I'm like, you're just saying that to get my money, right? That was the story in my brain. And now I have accountability for free because I work in this company. And so I'm getting to really genuinely experience it without paying for it right now. And holy cow, they were right. Accountability is this secret sauce.
Yes.
That when you have someone you deeply don't want to disappoint, suddenly your subconscious survival mechanisms kick in. You don't want to be alienated. And
you don't want to be hated or abandoned, like we were talking about. Exactly. Use it to our advantage.
Yeah. And this is where like we can take the reality of your situation of being human and use the silly stories that we tell ourselves in a positive way. Like, oh, if I don't get this report sent on time, my boss is going to yell at me. Awesome. This is great. That means use that. Let your subconscious, like, your little self inside say, oh God, I'm so scared, because you're going to get your work done faster. Right. And so 100. That accountability and having someone with you, like I will never, ever be without coaches and accountability ever again.
I totally agree. And it goes back to understanding how the mind works, right? With neurolinguistic programming. And like, you know, it's just like, we know that human beings work better with structure, right? And having that. And I know for myself, every time that I go away from coaching, which I don't even know, I don't think it has been for quite some time, but say it's even like a week if I don't do my accountability tracker, it's like I feel my energy, like, and my thoughts start getting negative and I start being harder on myself. And then I do my accountability tracker and all of a sudden I'm like, all right, here we go, everybody. Like, so it's just like, it just works. It works.
And I think I'm just getting this idea, like if we were meant to do things alone on this earth, the universe or God, whoever you believe, wouldn't have put 7 or 8 billion of us on this planet right now. Like if we were supposed to do it alone, there wouldn't be so many damn people around.
Yeah, community is huge. Just other people doing the same thing. It's just like, oh, thank God I'm not the only, right? Otherwise we go right back into what our husbands or wives are doing instead of what we want to be doing. So big deal. So cool. Is that the end? Was there one more?
There was
12 total, aren't there? Okay.
Right. Or there's a couple pieces. So all procedures should increase wholeness. So everything we do should make us a more whole person.
Oh, that's one of my favorite ones.
It's so good. And it takes some time to grasp. So if you think like, I don't get it, write it down and journal on it later. All procedures should increase wholeness. Everything you should do should make you a more whole person. Integrity comes from the same Latin root as integer, which is a whole number, right? So integrity is being whole. So the more that you can decrease internal conflict and get rid of we had that parts exercise we did, which is so great. Anybody, this is going to illustrate it, I think, well. If there's a part of you that really wants chocolate and a part of you that really doesn't, you've got separate parts. There's internal conflict. If we can get those two parts to come together and be happy with each other and make a decision together, we just increased wholeness.
That's right.
So that
so
one's
beautiful.
So
yeah.
powerful.
All the tools that we use in our program, right? Whether it's that or just like reparenting, just all the different, because you can also talk about like Course in Miracles, right? Of like a decision made from a place of fear versus a place of love.
Yes.
Right. So it's just like, you are unconditional love, it's like, that is who you are at your wholeness. But then when things happen in life, you can write parts of you and it get rejected or like, and then it's like, okay, I'm not whole anymore. So everything that we do before we can make any decisions coming from a part, which is going to lead you to not sustainable results, right? Let's get you back to that love space of being like, okay, I know who I am. I'm at peace. And now let's make a choice. So,
right. When I really want to eat more, I think, well, part of me wants to eat more chocolate. Part of me really wants to see more abs. Like, that's just where I'm at right now. And so I take a moment, bring those pieces together and say, okay, what is really the best response right now for my highest good in learning? A lot of the times the answer is chocolate. It's great. Tastes delicious. Right?
Thank you for your honesty. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm still getting there. So so that one's really, really huge. The meaning of communication is the response you get. We covered that one. The law of requisite variety, I think, is so fun. This means essentially the more flexibility you have in your behavior, the more control you have over everything in your life, in your relationships, and in the way that you can help influence people to be better for themselves. Right. So great example. If you have a kid that is screaming and you're like, shh, stop it. Well, they're probably going to keep screaming. That's historically what they do. If you suddenly flop on the floor, screaming your head off, acting more insane than them in public, they're going to shut right up. What is happening? This is you just control the system by being willing to be very flexible in your behavior.
Correct.
And so, and one thing that I personally am still working on as well is learning the flexibility versus staying in integrity. Because if you listen to me on other people's podcasts, I'm a different person a little bit on a lot of different podcasts because I get your energy and I want to be more like you, and it's fun and it builds more rapport and it's really great. And then I'm like, okay, I'm very flexible. And like, don't
want to abandon yourself in the flexibility. That's a great point. Yeah.
So that's just been a level 2 on this like particular thing to work through. But the more flexibility I have builds more rapport, helps them trust me more, helps me help them to change more, helps them trust themselves more. So
correct.
That one's big. And all procedures should be designed to increase choice. We all want freedom, right?
Yes.
Everything you do should help you get more free.
Yeah. More choices you can make. Wow. Rusty, thanks for having those pulled up.
Thanks.
Those are fantastic. It's
I got
so
to be
fun.
Teacher's pet and review all my notes,
Yes, you were the best student ever. I'm lucky. I got the best student ever. You guys are all great in the whole group, but you were fun to work with for sure. Really cool. And I think it gives people just like and I think, because not all my clients obviously are in sales, or not all of them are coaches or whatever. And I know Kendall, who did the program, she was saying how, just in making decisions and understanding how other people operate and with relationships, she said it helped her really appreciate the differences in other human beings and made her a more loving, open person of just being like, wow, that person is being inflexible, not because they're a jerk, but probably because their background or upbringing, right, required some kind of control, that needed to be maintained, or else safety would be lacking. So therefore, instead of judging them or being like, why did I have to be such a pain? It's like, oh, well, this is the way that they are and I can accept it, even if, it rubs me the wrong way at first. So, what would you say to the people, around NLP who aren't doing it for business purposes, why it would be worth it for them to do it.
I think and like Kendall said, one of the most powerful things is it helps you really accept yourself and the people around you so much more deeply. Because once you truly understand that everyone's doing the best with the tools they have available. Well, once I got more tools from our NLP training, I used them and I'm doing better, right? When I had more tools available, I did better. And so that helped me realize, well, before that, I was still doing my best, but it wasn't getting me the results I wanted yet. But I was doing the best with what I had. And so if someone around you you find them mean, annoying, they say the worst thing at the wrong time, or they just bug you every time you talk to them, but there's someone close, you don't want to get rid of them, right? Like, if we can truly realize that people are doing the best they can with the tools they have available, and when you see that there are great tools to help heal the things that make them act that way, you say, oh, I get it. They just haven't had any training on this. You haven't, as a culture, we're not taught how to be humans. Like, how to be a real good human, where we intuitively trust ourselves. We can eat well. We know how to move. We know how to stand up. We're not taught posture. We're not taught general emotional health. We're taught to drink it and eat it away. Right. Mm-hmm. And so they just didn't learn it yet. If you can accept that they just didn't learn it yet, you say, hey, awesome. They're on their path. I'm on mine. I really hope they learn it. And maybe I'll be like, hey, this might help you. Check out this podcast where they talked about how to improve yourself.
Right.
And maybe they latch on, maybe they don't, but they're on their own path, and you can really accept it by using these tools and really integrating that, especially when part of you wants to accept it, part of you doesn't, and we can actually merge those two parts of yourself. So you're coming from a place of integrity, then you can really love yourself and other people so much more.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Rusty. You're such a beautiful human being. Yes. And just thank you for who you are. Really. I just appreciate you and love that we get to continue connecting and watching each other grow, and just rooting for you. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. And I'm rooting for you too. And you're amazing and constantly inspiring me. So thank you for being you. And thank you for the compliments. My inner child thanks you even more. And I'm just lit up right now. There's nothing more exciting.
Awesome. That was a really beautiful breakthrough that you had with your brother, realizing that the harsh voice of yourself was actually your brother's voice versus your actual, and coming together and just getting to see you be oh my God, I can be nicer to myself, and integrate that was so awesome. Yes. And if anyone watching wants to be in class with Rusty, he and his wife are going to be trained in the next part of hypnosis and NLP coaching and timeline therapy coming up this fall as well. Already completed the neurolinguistic programming, so you'll be able to be in class with this amazing man. So Rusty, thank you again, and we'll see you again really soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.